Yeah, the other half.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. You got a roll with He's here somewhere.
He was down. Love Mr. Taylor. Oh, I think it's the,
No, it's not.
District 1.
No, it's not. Sure. They're squatters.
Squatters.
They can be evicted.
Welcome to Oklahoma, where we have squatters' rights. Possession is right. Yep. Motion to, oh, no.
Good afternoon and welcome to Emergency Response Committee meeting. Today is Tuesday, May 19th. Notice of the meeting was properly posted on May 15th. And I'll take a roll call. Mr. Matthews.
Present.
Mr. Blau. Mr. Taylor.
Here.
Mr. Davidson.
Here.
And Barnes is here. All present in the DOCC room exception of Mr. Blau anticipating any minute. Item number 1, discussion of possible action to set date, time, and place meeting will reconvene. Event technical difficulties occur, we cannot correct in 30 minutes.
Move to 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, this room.
Second. 10 o'clock, May 20th, DOCC room. Got a motion and a second. Mr. Matthews.
Aye.
Mr. Taylor.
Aye.
Mr. Davidson.
Aye.
Barnes is aye. Thank you. Item number 2, approval of minutes of May 4th, 2020.
Approval.
Second.
Motion and second. Mr. Matthews.
Aye.
Mr. Taylor.
Aye.
Mr. Davidson.
Aye.
Excuse me, Barnes is an aye. Thank you. Item number 3, discussion review possible action regarding presentation from emergency management. We have some updated numbers to share with you. We didn't start off these meetings with the weather issues. Just remember to maintain awareness of sheltering, maintain social distancing as possible. We do have an increased probability of severe weather returning Thursday and lasting as much as a week, as Mr. Davidson pointed out, just in time for the holiday weekend. State of Oklahoma.
Yeah, my fault.
State of Oklahoma, 5,489 positive test results, which is up 91 from yesterday. 294 virus-related deaths reported, for the largest numbers in Oklahoma County at 49, Tulsa County at 77, Cleveland County at 36, and 72.9, or right at 73% of those fatalities had at least one comorbidity situation. And 139, or 47% of the deaths occurred to patients from long-term care and nursing homes. 140,262 tests, 4.4% positive, and 4,135 Oklahomans have recovered from diagnosed COVID-19 with 885 cumulative virus hospitalizations, 63 COVID cases currently hospitalized, average age is 64.9, and 49 of those 63 are in ICU. Oklahoma County in general, 1,087 positive cases with 49 fatalities, 872 recovered. Updated numbers through the door here yesterday, certainly of interest. On May 18th, the annex was 745 approximately, and the courthouse 389, so a total of 1,134 yesterday. And thank you, Lieutenant Kimbrough, for those numbers day after day. Appreciate that.
That's getting pretty close to a normal thing, right?
Getting fairly close, 1,134. We're told, depending on what activities are going on, a couple thousand.
Yeah.
So we're well beyond
Is
half.
that what you're seeing, Officer Kimbrough? Is that normal business day?
Traffic.
And the annex normally is probably between 1,600 and 2,000.
In the courthouse side, a high number is about 650 to about 350, so that was definitely like a low day.
So we're about 340.
With the exception of some general comments, that concludes my report for today. Questions or discussion?
David, I have some grant buildings. There's a story, might be of interest to this committee and others, to really highlight the efforts undertaken by our sheriff's department at the detention center. But there is a story from the Southwest Ledger, and it was on the News Network this morning, that Comanche County Jail has had 126 inmates and staff test positive for COVID, and that in some manner, the Department of Corrections is now running that facility. The entire facility has been quarantined for 15 days. So just to highlight again the efforts that have been undertaken by the Sheriff's Department and our medical provider, and probably too, that it's just good fortune so far, I'm sure. And that is a facility that, according to this news article, has about 340 individuals. So that is, I think you said our infection rate's about 4%. So that is, yeah.
Okay.
And it just highlights, again, the good job of the Sheriff's Department.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Joe. I would certainly agree with that. Phenomenal performance over there. I'm sure diligence is the key. That's why. Any further questions, discussion on item number 3? To receive.
Second.
Motion and second to receive. Mr. Matthews? Aye. Mr. Blount?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Mr. Davidson?
Aye.
And Barnes and I. It's okay with the committee. I'd like to move to item number 6. So, Mr. Riley, sharing any with us, discussion, view, possible action from Oklahoma County Clerk, Oklahoma County Court Clerk, Oklahoma County Treasurer, Oklahoma County Sheriff, Oklahoma County Assessor, District Attorney, Public Defender's Office, Oklahoma County Courts. Mr. Rabbits, would you care to share any information with us or any questions or input?
That would assist them at all here.
The only thing I'd like to mention is my concern about the fact that there are currently 319 people waiting to go to the Department of Corrections or in jail, waiting to go. They've taken the census already. You all have to understand that as the jail population goes up each week, which it has now again for close to a month, it makes it harder for the sheriff to be able to, one, quarantine people for a period of time. Secondly, when you start triple selling, you're guaranteeing sooner or later you're going to have an unbelievable epidemic in that jail. If you have an epidemic in that jail, you're going to have the epidemic in the public defender's office. We see the people. You know, we're obviously buying pens and whatever, disposable pens, so we don't have to touch them, the pens or whatever. But as a practical matter, there is going to be a public defender or somebody else in the courthouse who's going to get it, and then we're going to just have all sorts of issues. If I have to call my house staff, you'll have 3,000 people in that county jail. So I think this county needs to do something. Contact the Department of Corrections. I mean, everybody just sits like it's somebody else's problem.
Bob, this is something that Miles and I and this committee have been talking about. I know Miles has indicated that he's talked to the Department of Corrections. Other than taking a busload of people down there and perhaps chaining them to the fence, I'm not certain that we can do anything at this point. Now, if you have ideas, we're very much in line with your concerns, and we're very well aware of the problem. But unfortunately, as of yet, it takes two, and the Department of Corrections so far, unless Miles has an update today, is unwilling to be our dance partner in this. And so I think we're all open to suggestions.
Yeah, I haven't talked to him in a while. In fact, the first time I heard that we were 300 plus, was this morning. That was the first set of numbers I've gotten in a while.
But we started talking about this when we were reaching 220, 230,
I think
240.
the first report I gave, we were like 98.
Day one.
Yeah.
And you have to understand, currently, until, June 1st, there won't be anybody that's on bond that has gotten pled to go to DOC, okay? Because they're not being brought in.
Right. So the biggest concern, there's multiple things here. So one of the concerns is that those individuals that now have been adjudicated, their sentence does not start until they have been processed by LARC, which is in DOC. So there needs to be some sort of fix for the 55 to 60 days that they've been, or plus, whatever we're in, that they've been sitting inside of our custody because they couldn't be processed by DOC. One. Two, we're reaching levels. If we're at 300, Tulsa's probably going to be close to 200. There are private prisons. Right now, when we looked into those, it is not cost effective. It is not cost efficient for anybody to start one of these things, to open one of them up, get it staffed, get it up and running. And there's a time problem there. If us in Tulsa County and say, certainly not Comanche, but another larger county has a backup like this, it may be something that we can start looking at on a scale if we can start doing above probably about 1,250 to 1,500. So one of the private prisons that's currently mothballed, they need about 30 days to crank it up, and they have to have about 1,250 to about 1,500 to make it feasible financially. So those things are there. We're ready to pull triggers, but at Joe's point, we have to have multiple people ready to dance. And with that, we can send those to one point, to Watonga. We can send them there, and we can solve that issue of our overcrowding of Tulsa, Cleveland, of whoever has the overcrowding. The DOC still needs to pay for that, unless we're going to get reimbursed for it, because it's not going to be $27 a day. I can assure you that, which is what our reimbursement rate is. It's going to be much more. So if the DOC can be pushed into that, and I would think the CARES Act, with the state getting $1.4 billion, then now's the time for them to look at something similar to this. They could pay for this. They could make that happen. They could solve their issue that was created by COVID by opening up a temporary prison and relieving all the counties across the state. So I know you know Scott Crow well. That would be my suggestion to you, is to also reach out to him and start those conversations with him. The same with our legislators. They're still there. Because of SAR 12 the other day, they'll be there for a little while longer. So anything that we can do to get pressure on our legislators and our legislative and executive branches and the DOC to relieve our problems, I'm for it, and I will help you do whatever we can do to get that done.
Yeah, Bob, like it doesn't, perhaps if we could do some regional type thing, but it doesn't make any sense to me from a practical standpoint for us to stand something up when it's really the state's responsibility, and they could do it and probably do it quicker.
More financially.
Well, I agree with you. I guess I don't understand, with the number of people that have been released from DOC, it's not a question of DOC doesn't have the space. At the very least, if you moved everybody out of the assessment center into a prison, and then you could still isolate those people for 30 days, you could take all the Oklahoma County first, and you could take Tulsa County. I've been told Comanche County is well over capacity right now.
Well, I don't think anybody's taking.
The article indicates that they're at 347, it looks like, and they're
A 340 facility.
of a 280 or 290 facility.
But
Yeah, I got called on.
they're under quarantine, so I don't think anybody's going to be taking Comanche County.
State Health Department has quarantined them now because of the number of COVID cases in the facility.
So So that was all the book.
The thing is, that's what's gonna happen in Oklahoma County, no matter how great a job the sheriff's done, if we inundate them with 1,800 or 2,000 inmates.
Well, I
What they're
agree.
gonna do in a couple of weeks.
Absolutely.
Right, but it
Again,
is, sorry, Moss, go ahead.
again, help us, help everybody else. And another thing I'll add is that the jail has the capabilities to do your interviews remotely. Correct?
We're doing, but when we plead somebody, they have to paperwork and whatever. We're doing everything remotely with the
Okay.
jail now. They've been fantastic,
Perfect.
okay?
That's, okay, so I misunderstood that. I thought you were actually physically going over there. I was gonna say,
No, we don't help people, but even those people, I
perfect.
So, Bob, we're finding ourselves in the same position that we've been in, and I say we, the Board of County Commissioners, when you go back to when the jail was at 2,800. BOCC, you have to do something. Well, there's unfortunately not a lot really that the board can do, right? We have a court services program, but they don't get people out. They only provide paperwork that lets people make decisions. BOCC doesn't arrest people. BOCC doesn't deny bail, deny plea bargains. So, you know, the facility filling back up, one thing that COVID taught us is we can reduce that population if we all work together. And now the population, I don't know what the factors are that have caused the population to begin to go back up. But it would seem that the same entities that came together to work to reduce the population in the beginning of this could continue to do the same things that they were doing. And maybe they are, and it's just a matter of human nature and population going up. But the BOCC, sort of between a rock and a hard place. We're being asked to solve a problem when we don't necessarily have the authority to solve. Miles,
Honestly, I think the only way that we can resolve it is going to be, Bob, with your help, with David Prater's help, with Judge Elliott's
Judge
help.
Elliott, you guys,
We need to talk with DOC. If you can get on the phone with Scott Carroll, again, I know you know him. I know Judge Elliott knows him. We can get him to agree to do a multi-county deal. Canadian, Cleveland, Oklahoma, Tulsa, wherever the population is, wherever the backups are, and centralize them in one spot. And they want to roll them in 14-day shifts to where they take largest to smallest. If they want to take us first and quarantine them for 6, 8, 12, 14 days, whatever, and then roll them through LARC and using a facility off campus but getting them off of us, I'm all for it. But I think the smartest thing to do would be to take them all to one facility, then quarantine for 14 days, or ride this whole thing out. I don't know.
and Bob, you were instrumental, you and Judge Elliott were instrumental last time we had an issue
Yeah.
in the backup staying there forever, and we weren't even dealing with these circumstances. So
But I think
you had great experience in dealing with a situation like this, and I think you'll find the board ready partners.
it's a 2000, you can help me, I was talking about before. Our official health department capacity, I think, is 2008. I know I asked that at the beginning of this and got the number, but that's a lot of years ago.
23 comes to mind, so it's in that 2 to 23 number, I think, Miles.
And we can't, the Board of County Commissioners does have the ability to say, come get these people. But we have to be at that state number of our capacity.
But the difference is that you have a virus, right? Okay? And the virus requires separation of certain inmates, which has the effect of lowering your actual count. So what may have been okay a year ago, the 21 or 2,200 that was our number maybe legit a year ago, it's not. And I think if we ask the sheriff's office, they tell you that at most you can handle around 1,800 if you're going to separate the way we are to prevent the spread of the virus. We'll look at it. I mean, obviously, it's having the staff take legal action, but I suspect that I mean, I'll talk to the director again and some of the other people if there's anything we can do, and if there's not, then I guess we have to, take whatever legal action is, what we think.
And if there's support you need from my commissioner, he's on board. I think you would find an entire BOCC ready to support it. And I'm not going to speak for Joe's commissioner, I'm not going to speak for Michael's, but I think we're all on the same board. Keeping that population down and getting those DOC inmates out is a good thing.
Population down, population up.
Which I think our county population moved to 100, right?
1660 is what grant, I guess.
That was total,
That was
that
total.
includes the DOC.
Oh, wait, I got it right here. 1350.
So 100 over to our lowest, I think we got down to 1250 at one point. That's other numbers.
It's gonna be hard to get that as well as we can, especially with judges not OR and some of them. Okay, I'll keep you all advised on that, and I'll let you know when we decide, you know, to take the litigation if that's.
Bob, I'm more than willing to talk to Crow with you. And I'll get on the phone with you guys and talk to him. And tell him what I've discussed with, you know, a bunch of the private prison people. And I'll help him, help us, help you get that money from CARES or wherever. Because they need to do something to relieve everybody's problems. So whatever I can do to help out, I'm with you.
You know, I mean, if my feeling is if it costs $85 a day and the CARES money is available, then approach the CARES money. You know, I mean, you know, they, you know, and one or two of those institutions might open a deal just for Oklahoma and Tulsa County. But no, I don't think Tulsa County quite has those.
You have to be cognizant of the fact that there's not facilities that can take that amount of people. So I contacted a couple of the smaller ones, and they had already been booked with juveniles or weren't able to take adjudicated DOC individuals into their type of facility because they didn't have the type of facility security that they need, that DOC would require for that kind of stuff. And they were smaller. The big ones that DOC has used in the past that we currently have. Now, I think there are logistics problems with those. And that is the same logistics problem DOC has faced with them in the past, and that is getting the employees to an area such as Watauga. They were busing them in from El Reno and several other places just to get employees there to watch that facility. And I think that facility is, what, 2,500, something like that. I mean, it's a good sized facility. And it's ready to go. I mean, they just got to crank it up out of mothballs and get it up and running.
So, Bob, I have a question about, hopefully you know the answer. What is the ability of the Department of Corrections to send people out of state?
They can do a contract with them.
I'm sorry?
They can do a contract with them, state prison anytime.
Yeah.
So that is
Typically they do. When they do the out of state, because out of state cranks up in price. So, but typically what they do when they do an out of state, it's a,
It's usually a trade, but they have the ability to contract with an out-of-state.
So there are some states that are a little more open than we are at this point, and perhaps there are states that have availability for beds there. Again, that's a state issue and not a BOCC issue. I'm sure they've looked at it, but
that was something that I had tried to get around at one point.
Well, the issue
That was
really
the
is,
27th day.
do they have the space, or do they not want anybody in there to infect the population?
Now,
That's the two issues.
It's pure, when you talk to them, their deal is they're worried about introducing COVID into their system. Now, they've had COVID at MAC, and I think it was MAC, they've had COVID in a facility and they got it contained, they got it out quickly. So that was great. They're worried about bringing in, and rightfully so, people from across the state that are suddenly coming in to their facilities, and when they hit that one central point at Lark, all it takes is one individual that has it to hit all of those differently classified individuals and get sent to different sites across the state, and then they have a statewide issue instead of just a localized issue the way that they did in one facility.
And maybe that is, and that's why I agree with that, that they took all of the Oklahoma County people at one time, and only those people that have already been cleared and do not currently have COVID. Then, as a practical matter, then they could disperse them in whatever period of time without that risk, at least amount of people.
I agree, and that's what I'm saying. If they could take our people to Lark, sit on them for 14 days, make sure nobody's got anything, push them out. Here comes Tulsa. Tulsa comes in and have their people for 14 days, push them out. If they would be open and willing to do that, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have a zero test, zero case facility right now. Our DOC is essentially quarantined inside the building away from everybody else. Just basically because the way the building is built. Now, once those people start moving up and down, or once one case is found in that building or enters that building, and they have to go to the 13th floor to get medical treatment, we just potentially infected every floor. So that's a scary issue that could arise really quickly in our jail. But if there is a way to work with DOC, put them through Lark, quarantine them for 14 days of Lark. I don't even know what they got at Lark. They may be using that as a backup right now. They may have people housed there, and I don't know, because, you know, you get the reception center, but then you also have the hospital right next to it. So I know that they were bringing people to that hospital, and they may still be. So I don't know. I mean, we just need to talk to DOC again, and it's been a while since we talked to them and see what their new tact is. And I think the suggestion you made of CARES Act money is a good one. And I think it's something that we probably ought to run up the flagpole. Let's give the governor a call and say, we have a statewide issue that you can solve rather rapidly if you're willing to spend some CARES Act. So
I will, let me know when it's a good time, and we'll be directed together.
absolutely.
And I will, and obviously I'm going to bring this up with the Criminal Justice Committee, chaired by Mr. Gunn.
Might be,
Just going to keep you advised.
Thanks, Bob. Appreciate it.
Thank you much.
Thank you, Bob. Lieutenant Kimbrough, if you care to address the group on behalf of the Sheriff's Office and your observations?
Yeah, kind of 2 quick points. Tomorrow, that crane is set to come in at 6 a.m. and do its thing. My suggestion, the easy suggestion, I think, is in the annex we have that west exit only. And I could just funnel the employees through that door, or we're going to have to do something with the crane. I don't know that they can operate by OSHA standards if we're going to have the employees there. I mean, that would, I think if we use that exit as an entrance just for tomorrow morning, you could keep the crane in business. And I don't know what hours to be.
I've actually received a recommendation from folks on the upper floors about doing that anyway, so that the employees wishing to use the west stairwell could show a card to the deputy at that door, or come in that door, and then hit the stairway going up. I think it's not a bad thing for the left hand. So I would definitely tie in with what you're saying. Maybe just the duration of the crane. How long on site? Do you have any idea, Chief?
Are they going to be working when employees come in?
Another couple of weeks, and I'm not sure what Stacy has discussed with Oklahoma Roofing, but if that schedule needs to be changed or interrupted in the interest of safety for the employees and the public, we'll certainly do that.
I mean, we're just talking about a couple hours to get everybody in.
Sure. I think, once the employees are in through the gate, we can ask the crane to go to work at that time. Really, all they're doing is offloading debris. They do that periodically. They'll accumulate debris on the roof, and it just takes some time. But certainly not all of it.
Forgive me, because I haven't seen in the morning when all the employees get here. Is there a backup?
No.
No backup. So it's flowing really smoothly into the isolated elevator, which was one of the big reasons we wanted to go that way.
And that's another, I've got 5 points here I want to discuss at some point, either item 7 or in time with this. Yeah, that's going smoothly. In fact, today, I bet it was 1 in 10 maybe in the area that we built that Keith had put in for the protect everybody else who's out in the alley because of beautiful weather. Obviously, there was no construction traffic.
But there's not,
That was smooth as well.
there's not like a backup from elevator all the way down to gate 0. Okay.
Keith, will the crane just be here tomorrow?
I'm not sure what their schedule is. Dale Pride Station can drive it down.
But it sounds like it's only going to be for a couple of days. Thursday, is that what you said, weather search?
Yeah, weather Thursday, potentially lasting a week.
Yeah.
Well, I know the rules that the roofing company goes by is if there is a greater chance than 30% of precipitation, they won't work.
So then we won't be working on what I've seen.
So let's get 2 days. I mean, if they're stopping the pulling of debris while there's employees there, I've stood out there when they're pulling the debris down. It takes 3 minutes, and I'm waiting for them to clear, and they put the thing back up, and I walk by when they say to walk by.
Sure.
I think, and their employee is the one out there making sure that everybody's staying safe and everybody's staying behind the line, so everybody's not doing that. So I don't think it's any increase of manpower on anybody on our staff. So I don't know that we need to, I don't have a problem with sending somebody in the west entrance downstairs. If they want to go up the stairs, that's great.
It's a simple solution. While the crane's out here working, and I don't think it needs to be made.
Or even beyond that. I know there's people who would love to come in that door and just go up. They're not going to be getting all the way to the tunnel and have trying to go back to the other end of the building. And there is a significant contingency that pretty much refuses to use right over it. And you have the, no furnace on you, but it's a dome.
Oh, well, it's a freight over.
It's a freight over.
Absolutely.
Take the stairs.
Yeah, sorry that our accommodations are beautiful.
Well, part of that too, you should take the stairs, and I agree with that. We've kind of, whether directly and indirectly, encouraged, if you will, people to not even come in the annex. I'm trying to filter them straight to that freight elevator, and that's the only option they have, but I think we can loosen that up. If they want to come in the south entry to the annex, to hit the elevator lobby or go on to the stairs. Based on traffic I've seen for 2 days now, I don't see that as an issue.
With honestly, when that jury's full,
Yeah, that's jury and traffic court. That's a different animal.
when those trials crank up.
Yeah, I agree.
We can loosen things down, but I wasn't really ready to ratchet them back down.
Completely agree. I just don't think we need to punish everybody for the remaining 80% of the time. We're accommodating 20. Yes, sir.
I'm just trying to figure out tomorrow, like, are we okay to do that tomorrow, or do you want them to go through?
I think so.
Tomorrow?
I think that's very reasonable.
Yeah, we can send out a ready op message today that says construction activity, use the west entrance to that annex.
From what I've been told, the crane's only gonna be out there 3 to 4 hours, but it's gonna be from 5 to 6 in the morning. You know, it's gonna be during your entry time.
Yeah. And we may keep that west entry open longer beyond crane time.
I just want to make sure, I know once we start letting the public, or even the employees use that exit only, and it's gonna become kind of the norm. I just don't want my guys having to fight and argue with employees on what they've been instructed to do.
Yeah.
So use it.
Need a motion?
Sure, let's do that.
move that we allow employees to use the west end door of the annex while construction is going on tomorrow, or any other day that we have construction going on in the alley or the crane in use.
Second. Motion is second, Mr. Matt.
Aye.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mr. Taylor.
Aye.
Mr. Davidson.
Yes.
Mr. Barnes is aye. Thank you. I have another.
I'll get a ready out message out on that.
The only complaint I've had again is, there's no signage that I know to see as far as the courthouse doesn't have a handicap availability going through the east door. You have to come through the annex to get to that elevator. And apparently somebody, I don't know how disabled they were, but they were forced to go to the east door. And then they couldn't use the steps.
Yeah, the sign is created now. We also translated it into Spanish, and they were laminating it today. They're sitting in my office right now.
Okay,
We'll get those deployed this afternoon.
okay, awesome. That's the only complaint.
One of your deputies also mentioned in regards to signage, just another one of my points here. A lot of folks, when you send them down the sidewalk, tell them to go down to the street, hang a right to the courthouse. I think somewhere between the front door and the corner, they lose track of that. And I spoke with Mr. Monroe. He's going to try and locate a pedestal type sign of some sort that we put down the corner. Courthouse.
Okay.
Maybe we can have that.
And just as far as disabilities go, if we need to accommodate them through the regular main door.
Right, and that's what I've instructed my guys, like if it's obviously something noticeable, they need to let them come through. I don't know the entire details of how they ended up getting sent around. But yeah, my guys have been instructed if they're able whatsoever, they come to the annex.
Absolutely.
And the signage says that the entrance for disabled entrance is to the north side of the annex.
Anything else?
That's it.
Thank you. Appreciate the job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Regard to the ADA access, we've had some brief discussion on that. Our original guidance from day one included accommodations, reasonable accommodations for ADA. So that has not changed. And this would be a wonderful opportunity potentially to leverage CARES Act funding to get additional access to the courthouse that were handicap capable. Maybe able to leverage those funds to, I don't know if that's been looked at as a ramp, if there's an appropriate location or just widening it or whatever. I don't know. That's beyond what I've researched. But, just a thought.
Obviously, the only entrance inside the courthouse that would be able to expand, do something, so that would be the west side. I think one of our, they call it an elevator, I know it's not right. What is that, Keith? Lift. Lift. I think that'd be pretty easy to install on the west side though too.
Nothing's ever easy, Miles. And we do have we do have a handicap lift into the courthouse from the alley. So if someone needs assistance, they can come through the front door where it's accessible, go into the alley or across the alley and into the courthouse using that handicap lift.
My primary concern in that, aside from the obvious, is when you only have one exit that is available for ADA. From a life safety perspective, that is worse than a poor situation. If that one exit is blocked, you then have issues.
We can take that up.
Excellent. You going to present that?
You can.
I can.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Any further discussion, reports, information under item number 6 from any other elected officials online or present otherwise? Thank you again, Mr. Rath. Entertain a motion to accept reports under item number 6.
So,
Second.
Motion second, Mr. Matthews.
Aye.
Mr. Blount. Yes. Mr. Taylor.
Aye.
Mr. Davidson.
yes.
Barnes and I, thank you. Back to item number 4 in BOCC departments. Any information online provided otherwise? Hearing and seeing none, no action on item number 4, item number 5. Any further information? Okay. No action on item number 5, we've already covered item number 6. Number 7, discussion review. Possible action regarding reentry provisions and plans for Oklahoma County offices. I mentioned a couple of the things I had on my list. I did get one comment I found quite interesting about what was termed a near miss at the west end of the alley, the pedestrian versus car. And the person that was sharing that said, had I not been paying attention, I could have hit someone.
Had I not been paying,
I know. I can't. Well, it would be a true catastrophe. Yeah. We've already talked about the west end of the annex first floor opening. Thank you, Jillian, for supporting that. And I mentioned that there is significant avoidance of the annex freight elevator. Personally, after standing and watching for extended periods the traffic of the employees coming in the alley and comparing that with the traffic of the public coming in from the north, with the granted the exception of jury day and or traffic court. I understand that's going to be very busy days, but to be honest with you, limiting the employees to just a freight elevator, honestly, personal opinion, is not necessary. We're not seeing the traffic counts and the flow. There's been no stacking up in the elevator lobby. I've been through there multiple times, and I'm just not seeing it. My recommendation would be to open that up so they can still come down the alley, they can still come in the west entrance, but making all the elevators then available, still emphasizing the use of masks, certainly, and social distancing. I'm not going to pile into the Volkswagen. I'm going to use the illustration that I'm not going to pile 18 people into the Volkswagen and ride it to the top, but with appropriate protective measures in place, I personally don't see an issue with making those available to everyone. Any discussion of that? Good with that? Good with contemplating.
I think that was put in place for the morning so-called rush hour traffic. If the cases are up, or if the traffic is up, I mean, is that not the way we're supposed to proceed right now? As they go through the day, I mean, you're open to every elevator. Disability issues, you're open to any elevator. I get in here a different way, so I don't take that elevator. I mean, we could keep them in place if we determine, and I'm not sure if the traffic here and we've just worked through the flow, is the courts as busy as they said they were going to be, the number's not up. I haven't gone over the courtrooms to see how busy they are, but our whole design was, when the concept is a lot of people are here at whatever hour, we avoid that by bringing our staff in a different direction. So whether we need to continue to monitor that or wait until it really happens and then go back to this status, it's half dozen, one or the other.
I really kind of tend to agree with that, Michael. David, you know as well as I do, when your current tack is working, you don't necessarily change it just because the power is getting smaller. Remember, you want that thing to be active. So I'm in line to keep it the way it is. For now, I think it's doing a great job in distancing everybody. I'll say it again, I'm sorry that the freight elevator is not beautiful for this pandemic. Maybe we'll get you on the next one. But at this point, I really like the separation that we've done. The crossover has worked. You know, keeping the crossover from happening has worked. Joe's office, with all the stuff that they've implemented down here and offered up, has helped communicate, keep those people separate. I just don't think it's the right time to start moving yet. Plus, I'd hate to get them used to doing that, and then we turn around, crank up traffic court, juries, et cetera, and then all we're gonna do is start poking, employee morale.
That's,
So,
that's my big concern there.
Yeah. I think Friday will tell a tale with the traffic court.
Yeah.
Although they're gonna make a left turn and go directly into the assembly room, there'll still be a lot more people going through security and being in the lobby.
like, are they gonna do their fees? They paint everything, the whole traffic court.
That's my understanding. My understanding.
There's no traverse up.
Yeah, the cashier will be down there, I believe.
They had originally, when they were doing cash down there, they were taking some through the windows. They also set up another pay area outside of my office, specifically pay.
Yeah.
Could come in that way. I agree. Friday's gonna tell us a more significant tale, and I'm good with my office. Status quo from now. It's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
One other issue that I had was, again, potential use of CARES Act. I mentioned the ADA accessibility. We're looking at pretty significant comments coming out of state of the stoppage of strategic national stockpile supplies, the PPE that's coming in, likely this week being the last week. We are making recommendations to the state that they monitor that closely, particularly if there's a resurgence of activity in the area, whether here or in other parts of the state, so that they could re-implement the strategic national stockpile events there. But it does look like that's going to end this week, and it's my recommendation that we expedite however possible, if possible, the use of CARES Act funding to build up a supply to keep on hand for Oklahoma County.
So you had talked yesterday that you had multiple sources which to draw from. You were gonna take probably the top 5, top 10, whatever, you're gonna reach out to those individuals that you.
Yes, we have Mr. Whitworth in my office working with Chantel, who has also done a terrific job. They have brought that list down to a manageable level, and I was speaking with Mr. Whitworth about an hour and a half ago, and he has in fact pinpointed one that really looked very promising, and has contacted them. I had him do some additional follow-up with them in regards to product quality, and they have more than adequate certifications, provided references, et cetera. So, and we don't want to buy a bunch of masks and be sitting on 20,000 masks only to find out that the elastic strap won't stay attached. And a lot of masks that are out there are in that exact situation. So we have done some due diligence on that, and to answer your question, yes, we do have viable resources identified, including with quick turnaround. So if we can leverage some funding in a timely manner, we can likely have that on site soon. Those are the only points I had. Anybody else have anything under item number 7?
I think it's gone well. It's hard planning, sheriff's office, our
Very cooperative.
and we'll see how it goes. Oh, one comment I would just make, there was a story I saw on News 9 that Cleveland County is opening up their courthouse more and is planning on dropping all their restrictions June 1st.
All restrictions. I'm not familiar with the layout of that courthouse.
I know.
They have full session down there.
Yeah, it's a, their main entrance is pretty tight. So that's going to be interesting. And when I say tight, it's, their main entrance is similar to our eastern entrance, but it goes up to a very small little room. And then you can go to the other offices on the back side of the building. From there, I'm sure they've opened other entrances.
So their east entrance is closed due to the X-ray machine broken. Waiting for that to be fixed, and said Cleveland County Commissioners say right now the plan is to lift all restrictions starting on June 1. The plans may change.
Is this where they're entering?
There's
Is there?
And east and west of that, all I recall, and there was an ordinance that, I think, they had employees only.
Yeah.
We'll do reconnaissance on that.
Right. There's no jail.
Thank you, Dan. Any other comments?
No.
Discussion? Entertain a motion to accept information from item number 7.
Oh,
Second.
Motion and second, Mr. Matthews.
Aye.
Mr. Blau.
Yes.
Mr. Taylor.
Aye.
Mr. Davidson.
yes.
Ms. Barnes. Aye. Thank you. Item number 8, discussion possible action to determine next meeting date and time.
For the regular meeting, Tuesday, 26th.
At what time would you?
I'm fine with 10 or 10:30 if there's no other meeting scheduled.
There is.
There
Infrastructure, PBAC is at 10 and 10:15. So 12?
Got, detention center transition of 1. Michael, is there a reason? Oh, yeah, there's weeks. Memorial Day.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was like, there's nothing on Monday.
Yeah, we're back. No.
Anything at 9?
We could do 9.
9 it is.
Got a motion, do I hear a second? Motion and second, Tuesday, 26th, in the VOCC room at 0900. Mr. Matthews?
Aye.
Mr. Blau?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Mr. Davidson?
Aye.
Barnes is an aye, thank you. Board comments? Any comments, Mr. Taylor?
No, thank you.
Matthews? Blau?
Just appreciate Mr. Rabbit and his concerns for those in the facility down the street.
Thank you. None? And I have none either. We want to recess this meeting.
Thursday.
21st.
Look at, there's a bunch of meetings that they plan this in 30. Noon. Okay.
I can do.
We're going to do 11:30 and if such board gets long, just come right up. Start Thursday, the 21st at 11:30 a.m. in this room.
Or second to that?
Second.
Motion and second. Mr. Matthews?
Aye.
Mr. Blau?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Mr. Davidson?
Aye.
Barnes is not, we stand in recess. Thank you.